talked about wholesaling. We talked about, a few different strategies. Where are you now? What are you doing now, in your investing career, not
Sure,
just in real estate? Yeah.
sure. Um, Prior to COVID, I was really launching my flipping, fixing and flipping business. I had
Hmm.
eight flips going on in 3 different states, and
Okay.
then things shut down with COVID, and I had to pivot. And
Hmm.
so I've been following Grant Cardone for a little bit of time. I actually met him at the entrepreneurship conference a few years back.
Hmm.
Um, and I started reading his books. And when COVID shut down, I was really watching a few different people and seeing how they was handling the climate and things. And Grant said one thing about multifamily that I hadn't heard before. He said it's like buying income.
Hmm.
And at that time, when I looked at my business, that was the gap. I had a bunch of deals, the numbers were solid, but I didn't have any income.
Hmm.
And because of the delays, my timeline was blown. And
Hmm.
so when I went to try to refinance my deals, I actually had one deal. We just finished the flip. We were looking to refinance and hold it. And the bank said they're not going to lend the money because of COVID, and it's too risky. And they backed out. So now I'm stuck in a hard money loan. And, I looked at my partner and I really just got frustrated. And I said, you know what? Screw this. I'm just going to start my own fund.
Hmm.
And didn't have any understanding of what it took to do that. I just knew that I had deals, and I knew that when I was talking to the hard money lenders and other lenders that I knew, they didn't say no to me. What they did was increase the rates and
Hmm.
reduce the loan amount, and so it wouldn't have worked for me. And I just realized that I did a lot of the work in finding the off market deal,
Yep.
putting up money, skin in the game, managing the rehab. I'm
Hmm.
doing all the heavy lifting, and the lender, they just write a check and then they pick up a check. And so I
Yep.
said, I want to do that, right? So,
Work harder, not or work smarter, not harder.
right. So I ended up joining a mastermind group, Investment Fund Secrets, Bridger Pennington. He's
Hmm.
my mentor in the fund space. And then I started pursuing multifamily apartments. And so within 6 months of making that decision, spent a little money, flew out to Miami, did some training with Grant Cardone,
Hmm.
and um, started doing some lead gen around multifamily. Started
Okay.
underwriting some multifamilies, and I ended up picking up a 176 unit apartment complex in Tucson, Arizona.
Oh
Um,
wow.
and That was my first syndication. Raised
Hmm.
$5.5 million, $18.9 million purchase. All with underwriting and doing the due diligence on apartment buildings is not the same as single family houses.
Yep.
um, but I'm a student to real estate, and maybe 10 years ago, I flew out to Charlotte and I did a boot camp on how to underwrite apartments. And
Yeah.
so a lot of that stuff came back. I had Grant's book on buying apartments on my bookshelf. I hadn't read it up until that point because I didn't really need to because I wasn't buying commercial. But I read the book a few times, and then I really locked in on how to run the numbers.
Yeah.
Because the fundamentals of structuring deals and underwriting deals is very much the same across the board. There's just
Hmm.
more things in the due diligence process with the bigger properties.
Right.
And the long story short of it is Grant said something that's not just true for multifamily, it's true in general. Like real estate is a team sport.
Hmm.
And when it comes to closing bigger deals, it's not it is a little bit more work, but it's not
Uh-huh.
too much more work. And
Right.
it's expected to have partners, you
Hmm.
know.
Now, this wasn't an on-market deal. How did you find that deal?
So over the years I've amassed a huge network of investors,
Hmm.
and realtors. And so I just reached out to a bunch of realtors and brokers and said, hey, I'm looking for 25 units and above. If you come across something, let me know. And in the multifamily space, that's typically how you find deals, brokers, a lot of brokers in that space. You want to build those relationships.
Now, for me, I'm trying to so I can comp a single family, I can comp a duplex, something like that.
Can I offer you something?
Always.
Yeah, give up the idea that you have a lot to learn.
Okay.
I've been doing this for 14 and a half years, and I still have a lot to learn. So it's all relative. You have the ability to learn. And so as long as you have the ability to learn, that's just par for the course, right?
Yeah, most definitely.
For me, when I was rereading Grant's book, he had this diagram of how to underwrite deals on a napkin. Made it simple. Okay. What you need to understand about commercial real estate is there's a few different ways to evaluate the deal, but the most common is based on cap rate.
Right.
Now, what you need to understand about cap rate is that number is going to vary depending on the class of the asset.
Okay.
And when I say class of the asset, I mean the location. So Grant, when he buys apartments, he's an A-class buyer. That's his type of deal. He doesn't look for nothing else. He wants A-class, so it's all location. He 100%. Wants high value assets. The thing about A-class assets is the cap rate tends to be a lot lower. When you're looking at commercial real estate, the add value is one of the most important parts. Yeah. But there's a series of different ways that you add value, and it really always comes down to the management and your ability to increase the rents.
Yep.
And so I forget the term that you look for, but it's basically, I'll describe what it is. So when you look at there's two things you request when you're dealing with commercial real estate. The OM, which is the offering memorandum.
Okay.
And the T12, which is the trailing 12 months of rent roll. Okay. So those are the two documents you need. On the in the T12 or the operating memorandum, there's gonna be what the market rents are, and what the current rents are.
Okay.
I think they call it the lost rents or something like that. But typically, it's the difference between what they're getting for rent and what they could be getting for rent.
Right.
Now, you want the lost rents, I think that's what it's called. You want that to be at least 10% or 20%.
Okay.
So that means that you have the ability to raise the rent. And that's where you're adding the value. So that's one of the things you look for. The other thing you need to know about commercial real estate is when you're doing it's called CapEx or capital improvements or renovations. That's,
okay.
When you're doing that, the purpose is to increase the not so much the value of the property, but what you can get for the property and increase the maintenance and upkeep, essentially, if that makes any sense.
No, 100%. Yeah. What's your biggest advice for out-of-state investors? And you know what? I'll answer this first real quick. My biggest advice is build a team that knows what they're doing in that location. So if that location is Detroit, okay, build a team in Detroit that knows what they're doing. Your property management, your maintenance team, and somebody to look over everybody. Okay, and that person to look over everybody doesn't have to be physically there. They just have to know the area and know what to do. So they can come into town every once in a while, but they're at least keeping up with everybody, whether it be through email, phone, or anything like that. So that's my opinion. What about you, Gerald?
So, general answer.
Yep.
He says he owns 3 properties in 3 states. So my question is, what's the goal for the property? Are they rental properties? Are they vacation homes? You know, do you own them free and clear? Do you have mortgages? Like all of that stuff matters because, you know, you could lease option them. You know, you could seller finance them. You can, you know, use Airbnb or independent living, or there's a number of different ways that you can use it. And like Randy was saying, it's really gonna, you're gonna need a team to execute the plan.
Yep.
You know, which is not difficult. Generally speaking, when people get started with real estate, they kind of shy away from real estate agents or realtors. Realtors are one of my secret weapons for doing out-of-state investing. You just have to find the right ones. You want to find a hungry new real estate agent that's willing to learn, or you want to find a very experienced and well-connected realtor or broker and leverage that.
Okay.
And then just remember, at the end of the day, win. You really have to make it worth their while. You don't want to waste their time. And at the end of the day, you know, you have to know what you're looking for from this investment, what type of return on that investment you're looking for.